Hey guys, Josh from Rick's here. Today we're going to be going over a setup video for the DBH D6. This isn't going to be so much about its features, but more about what's going to happen once you purchase this optic and you're going to want to put it on your weapon and get it set up for shooting. You're going to notice that it ships without the optics mount installed. Everything you need to install the optics mount is provided. The Allen key, all of the screws necessary, and the mount itself are all provided. So all you need to do is line up the 3 threaded holes on the body of the scope with the 3 holes in the mount. Once you have all 3 screws installed and torqued to the recommended torque settings for the manual, you are now ready to install the DBH D6 onto your gun. Once we have this installed onto the rifle, you'll notice that it has tension adjustments on the rail screws on the cross beam, so you can get this torqued to your exact Picatinny rail. When you do that, you don't want to have too much tension on it, so if you close the mount and you get it to about 10 or 15 degrees off of closed, don't force it, loosen a few clicks, and then get it to where it closes snugly. If you have to use tools or anything to pry these on or off, then you're doing it wrong. It shouldn't rattle, it should be nice and snug. The scope is now mounted on your gun. It's time to start adjusting it to your eyes. First thing you have to do, once you turn the scope on, look at your menu settings, your crosshair, everything else that's on that screen, and turn your ocular focus until everything on that menu is crystal clear. Once you do that, open up your lens cap, aim at your target, and start to focus on distance for whatever range you're going to zero the scope at. Distance is ambidextrous, so you're going to focus that distal knob, that focus knob, until everything is focused, ocular and distal. Now that everything is set up for your eye, we're ready to go into reticles and zeroing. We're going to first scroll through some of the settings. We have picture-in-picture, Wi-Fi, files, that's where all of your photos and videos are stored, your laser rangefinder settings, and now we are down here at reticle. Select reticle. You can select reticle types, different colors for your reticles, brightness settings, and we are finally down here at zeroing. Once we get to zeroing, we are going to select it. We already have one that's been set up at 100 yards, so we'll go in and alter that. Here we are at distance. That can be manually set for whatever distance the rifle is zeroed at. You go down to movement, and that is your X and Y axis for zeroing. Alright, so here we are on the zero range, aiming at a Rick's thermal target. We aim at point of impact, center, and we fire a shot and see where it goes. So we'll go ahead and do that now, and I'll place a marker for where the shot impacted. Okay, so I changed crosshair color so we could see it a little bit better on that white hot backdrop. Gonna go down to reticle, go down to zeroing, select zero distance, go into the movement, and then what we're going to do is adjust from our initial crosshair point of aim in the center of the circle target. We're going to move the X and Y axis up to our actual bullet impact mark at the 11 o'clock. So first I select, get back on target, first I select X axis, there we go. And then as I go down to the Y axis, select it and begin to move. You'll notice that my original point of aim is that little red dot. So I'm going to keep that on my initial point of aim. That looks pretty good. Once I'm done, I go ahead and exit, and now my new point of impact should be right on the crosshairs at my zero distance. Let's start talking about the menu features on top of the DBH. So, first button we're going to talk about is the 12 o'clock position button. This is your laser rangefinder button. If the rangefinder is turned on, you're going to see a red reticle in your picture. If it's not turned on, you'll only have your crosshairs. Long press this 12 o'clock button and it will turn on your laser rangefinder reticle. That is what you're going to point at your target. It will be either actively lased or it will be single pulse lased depending on your settings. Long press the button again and your reticle will disappear, giving you a clean sight picture once again. The other digital reticle that you may see is the green aiming laser. That is done with a 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock short press. And now we have a green aiming laser. That laser is going to give you a green box crosshair in your thermal display. We're going to be using that for if you shoot a coyote in a field several hundred yards away and you want to lock your tripod with your green reticle on that thermal signature by yourself. You can then handrail that laser down to your kill and retrieve it rapidly without having to search for it. So pretty handy feature that was placed on there by the hunters. 6 o'clock button is going to be your photo and video button, so that's going to be a short press for video, long press for photo. And then your orange power button is going to be your menu bailout button, which means if you're playing around with your contrast and some hogs run out in front of you, press that orange button and it bails you out back to the shooting screen rather than menus. It's also your standby feature. A short press will put this screen into standby mode immediately and another short press will wake it up immediately. There's no holding the button down and waiting for something to enact to go into standby. So it's a very quick feature that helps save batteries. That's our buttonology. Obviously they go way more in depth with different functions in the menus, but most common features used are going to be rangefinder, aiming laser, and your photo.